And my last question, probably, there's another issue internationally. Uh, there are, as we said, political and maybe financial pressures. I think that the third front of journalists being pressured is the flexibility of employment of journalists. The media
Well,
in
I mean,
Europe.
I think this is really something which, I mean, I feel very strongly about, and this is where we journalists have something very strong to say to media owners and to government, which is that if you treat journalists so badly, if you create a precarious working environment, if you don't sort of give basic employment rights and basic working conditions, you fundamentally undermine the capacity of media to do their job effectively. And I think that the development of precarious working conditions, the lack of status for journalists in many countries that we're seeing developing as a result of the policies of media owners, and something that's being tolerated by governments, is extremely dangerous for press freedom and for the quality of journalism. So I believe media organizations need to do more, and governments need to do more to try to protect journalists and their social conditions.
Would you outline a country or a newspaper with a positive practice on this
Look,
subject?
in my view, every newspaper which has social dialogue with its journalists, which is ready to negotiate collective agreements, will be a model of how these matters need to be dealt with. And if you look at those newspapers where there are such procedures and processes, and you find many of them in Italy, in Germany, in Great Britain, you will see that there are models of how to deal with these problems. The difficulty is when there is no social dialogue and when there is no respect for freedom of association for journalists and for the people who work in media. So it's a question of respect for basic industrial relations, basic social dialogue within the industry. When you have that good social dialogue, many of these problems can be solved.
And the perspectives are good, by your opinion?
The perspectives are difficult. It would be wrong for me to say that the perspectives are good. They're very difficult. We have more political interference in the work of media. We have more pressure on media owners, which means they're making unacceptable cuts in spending and investment in journalism and in media. So these are very difficult times. But the perspective for a better approach is certainly good if on all sides we can have more respect for the notion of social dialogue, trying to sort out our problems by meeting one another and having good industrial relations. And as I say, if there is less arrogance and more tolerance, we can solve all of these problems. If the government of Slovenia today was prepared to show less arrogance and more tolerance of its critics, and was prepared to engage in a good social dialogue, then I think a lot of the problems that we're talking about would be better understood. And once they're better understood, they're much easier to solve.
And truly, my last question, Mr. White, just a theoretical one. By your opinion, what is journalists' objectivity?
Journalist objectivity is whatever it is. I think we should always strive for it, although I don't think it's something that we can achieve. Journalists do their work according to the objective conditions in which they have to work. Sometimes it's very difficult. Sometimes they're under political pressure. Sometimes they're under commercial pressure. Sometimes they're under pressure from all sorts of different groups. I think the best that journalists can hope to do is to at all times to try to be ethical in what they do, and that means three things. One, to respect as far as they can the truth of what they're reporting. Two, it's to be independent and not be the mouthpiece of the owner, of a commercial interest or of a political interest. And third, journalists need to be very much aware of the consequences, the potential negative consequences of anything they publish, and to make their decisions about what to write, what to broadcast accordingly. Now, if we can, in journalism, respect those three principles in the work that we do, then we don't have to worry about our objectivity. We'll find that professionalism will solve all of the problems that we've got to deal with.